Hello ladies and gentlemen and everyone in between, my name is Halina Hitman and welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to do recommendation list for Asian Readathon 2021, which I will be participating as well. I will release my TBR a bit sooner. I wanted to create kind of a list of books that I personally read and enjoyed, or maybe did not enjoy it completely, but they're still created by Asian authors, and of books that I did not read yet, but I do recommend to read because they seem to be very interesting and I am interested in reading them sooner. Majority of the books I'm gonna talk about are single-issued graphic novels, so just a disclaimer, you know, but there will be some books that I read by Asian authors which are like regular books. So let's start. I will not read like the premise of it and the prompts because you can find them on a video by Withindi. First I wanted to start with graphic novels by Asian authors which I personally already read. The first is The Prince and the Dressmaker by Jen Wang, a Taiwanese American. This whole graphic novel is not about Asian experience, it's about imaginary kingdom and LGBT prince, like a gender non-conforming prince and his adventures with his dressmaker, who is a very talented seamstress. The second is Bookhunter by Jason Shiga, who is a Chinese American, and this graphic novel is about, it's not a novel, it's like a short story about library police, and it's very funny. It's set in 70s. The whole plot surrounds the mystery that the library police is solving. The Girl from the Other Side by Nagabe is Japanese mangaka, and this is a manga, and it is about this little girl who is living in this world where the curse is very active and the god cursed people. So she is one who cannot be cursed, and other people are hunting for her. Graphic story about childhood and about how children are vulnerable and innocent in our world, regardless of which world we are talking about. At least that what was the story for me, and I enjoyed it a lot. Then I also read I Kill Giants by Jose Maria Niimura and Joe Kelly. Jose Maria Niimura is a Spanish-Japanese cartoonist who is living in Spain, and he has worked in different graphic novels, but this one is really famous. I think it was put into a film, or it's gonna be, but the graphic novel is really funny. And what I also loved is that after each chapter there is actually a little comics about Jose Maria Niimura's interactions with Joe Kelly when they were creating this graphic novel, and I'm actually blushing because it was so funny and so light-hearted fun that they was making of each other in these little strips. The Haunted Woman by Minetarō Mochizuki, Japanese mangaka. It's a horror manga, and another it's Japanese graphic novel by Usamaru Furuya called The Plastic Girl, but it's not a manga, it's like crazy DIY project. But it's beautiful, and I cannot explain properly how it looks. You need to see it to understand the beauty of it, but it's about coming of age. And it's about this hard age of teenage years when your body transforms, when you feel yourself crazy, and that's about this girl who is coming of age and who is suffering during this age. Very famous graphic memoir by Marjane Satrapi, Iranian artist, which is called Persepolis, and also her smaller graphic work, Embroideries. Persepolis is about her childhood in Iran, and Embroideries are about Iranian women and their experience with their personal lives, with men, with beauty standards. It's really, really funny. American Born Chinese by Jen Wang, a Taiwanese American, and the protagonist of the story connecting with his roots while also being American, and it's a very, very graphically perfect story. I also will talk more about it in my wrap-up, but it was perfect. It was great. There is 3 stories which are coming together in the end, but you cannot guess in which way when you start reading them, and it's just mind-blowing. And the next one is Helter, Skelter by Kyōko Okazaki. It's also she's also a very famous Japanese mangaka, and Helter Skelter is about supermodel and her deep dark secret. Everything is Beautiful and I'm Not Afraid, a Baopu collection by Xiao, an immigrant to US from China, and it's about her story of her immigration, about coming through therapy, about being bisexual and not being accepted by society, by LGBTQ people, by her parents, and it was really, really good. The art is beautiful. It's very, very, very sweet, and I highly recommend this one. The Arrival by Shaun Tan, Australian artist of Malaysian Chinese and Anglo-Irish origin. It's a silent graphic novel, the first one that I read, and it was mind-blowing. It's probably the silent graphic novel that made me fall in love with this genre, with this subgenre of graphic novels. And it's about immigration experience, and you understand the story and the beauty of it and the complexity of it without any word. Talented, the only word you can describe it in. Also, I wrote down for myself Dream Daddy, a dead dating comic book, because Wendy Xu was a part of the team, and she is a Chinese American who also worked on mooncakes, and she has a great website for herself, so please check her out. And mooncakes are I was told that mooncakes are very, very good as well, but I did not read it yet. The next one will be Drama by Minetarō, because the coloring for Drama was done by Gurihiru, which is a Japanese illustration team from Sapporo, who worked a few Marvel projects and Avatar projects, and this team is Chifuyu Sasaki and Naoko Kawano. Chifuyu Sasaki is doing pencils and inks, and Naoko Kawano doing colors and web design. So the coloring in Drama is really, really good, and it's just perfect. You know, this part, when I was reading it, I was thinking, oh my god, if not the coloring, I won't be so invested, because the characters, the character design and how they are how they dress, their color design is really, really good. So thanks to Gurihiru, it was great. Their work, their contribution to this project really, really enlightened my experience with reading Drama, even though I did not enjoy the graphic novel itself too much. Like, it's a graphic novel for middle graders about theater club in a school, but okay, that's a topic for another conversation. I have some questions to Minetarō, but not to Gurihiru. They did a great job in there. And the last graphic novel that was done by Asian artist was Abandon the Old in Tokyo by Japanese mangaka Yoshihiro Tatsumi. and it was really dark and cruel. I would not recommend you to read it, but I enjoyed it a lot, and it was a really good experience for me. It made me upset, and it made me worried, and it made me feel a lot of things, but it's not, you know, it's not the manga for everyone. It's very unsettling in a weird way, I would say this. If you want more thoughts, like in-depth thoughts, I will be releasing wrap-ups of my reading year in the next weeks, so I will be putting, you know, the review for each graphic novel I'm mentioning there. Maybe I will explain my feelings better there. The books which are not graphic novels, but which I also read and enjoyed. Some of them I enjoyed, some of them I didn't, but I can, you know, share it as well. They are just regular books, not graphic novels. So the first one is Çalıkuşu, the autobiography of a Turkish girl, in English. That's a translation of in English by Reşat Nuri Güntekin, classic Turkish writer. He is perfect. I love this book, and I was reading it when I was I guess preteen, and it was interesting. Like, it was interesting for me when I was middle grader. Then I reread it when I was a teenager, like 16-17 years, and then I recently reread it when I was like in my early 20s, and every time I'm rereading this book, I'm finding out new interesting details and things that I did not completely understand when I was reading it in a younger age, because I didn't have this exact experience. I didn't live through some things in a woman's life to understand completely what she felt or what she went through. And also, when I was younger, I did not fully understand the historical period when this novel is set. And if you didn't read it, I highly recommend you to do so. It's translated to numerous languages. It's for sure you can find it in English and maybe in your native language if you are if English is your like second or third language. So it's worth it. It's really, really good. The next Turkish writer who we all know is Orhan Pamuk, and from his books I only read The New Life, and it was a bit weird for me because it's about Turkey in the 50s, and since I've never been to Turkey in the 50s, and I kind of understood the nostalgia and the aesthetic that he was trying to portray in his book when I actually went and lived in Turkey for like half a year, and I went to all of these vintage fairs, and I spoke with many native people who told me more about the culture, and I tried to, you know, get the atmosphere of the book, and then I understood it like better. But if you're a foreigner, I don't think you would fully understand the whole the deepness of this nostalgia and of the fear of change that is presented in this book. But I enjoyed it nevertheless. Orhan Pamuk also has a lot of beautiful books, mostly about Turkey and Turkish experiences that are worldwide popular. Bulat Okudzhava, who was a Soviet poet of Georgian Armenian origins. Lately I read his poetry collection. I love his songs. If you learn in Russian, I highly recommend you to listen to them. Beautiful pieces. If you don't know Russian, you can search it online, of course, and when he's singing them. But you also probably know Regina Spektor, because that's a hugely popular in the West. I mean, not hugely, probably not like, you know, Lana Del Rey kind of popular, but really well-known artist who did two songs on his poetry. I will put there. I will put the cover of the album there, and you can find it here. You can listen to them. You would not understand the lyric, but you can find the translation. His works are also translated. Marian Petersen's The Grey House was translated to English as well recently, and Marian Petersen is an Armenian writer who writes in Russian, and her Grey House, which was published in, like, I guess around 10 years ago, it was a bestseller in Russian-speaking countries. It's a very, very weird magical realism about disabled children, and it's so strange. It's a really strange book, so if you're gonna read it, I'm just, it's a disclaimer for you. You may not like it, but for me it was a book that hit my heart, and I just reread it like 3 times already, and I'm rarely rereading books, but it was beautiful. It was it was big magic realism for young adults. That's how I can classify this book. Really, really good. Also, what else I read? Oh, I read Khaled Hosseini. He's an Afghani author, and I read only Sea Prayer from him, which is like a short story, kind of a poetry in prose, which is illustrated with watercolor. You can also find it for free in YouTube, and there is this 360 kind of video for it, which you can navigate on yourself while listening to the text. And also his most famous work, I think, is the Kite Runner, and also some others, like very, very famous books by him. And the Kite Runner, by the way, was adapted to graphic novel format, so if you're interested, you can find it as well. Also, what I read and really, really enjoyed, even though this book is so old, is The Code of Samurai by Daidoji Yuzan, 1834. And it was really great reading experience for me. I read it first when I was like 12 or 13, and I adopted so many of these principles and rules in my life that he was writing for samurais, and I think that's a very, very great kind of self-help book for a modern person, because I think if more people would live as he wrote for samurais, our world would be much better place to live in. Jewish-Russian author Lenore Goralik. There is a website where you can find her text and texts translated to English for free. I read her 2 fairy tales about a girl named Agatha, and also her novel about hell, about how hell is constructed. Dina Rubina, a Jewish Russian who now lives in Israel. She is modern classic of Russian literature. I read only her short story collections this year, and it was so good. I understood immediately why she's so immensely popular. Balzac and the Little Chinese Seamstress by Dai Sijie. It was very, very nostalgic, sad coming of age of 2 guys, sons of intelligentsia, who were sent to village as a part of a political movement going on. I enjoyed it a lot, and it was the first Chinese prose that I ever read in my life, and I hope it will be more soon, but by now that's what I read from Asian authors, which are not graphic novels. But now I will go to the recommendations of things that I did not read yet, but they are on my radar. Like, I want to read those graphic novels, but they will not be included in my TBR, which I will publish soon for this readathon, this year readathon. But I'm just, promoting these graphic novels because I think they deserve recognition. Those are The Arab of the Future, A Childhood in the Middle East, a graphic memoir by Rayad Sattouf. It's 5 books that are covering his childhood from 1978 to 1994. He's a French cartoonist of Franco-Syrian origin, and from my perspective, like, the graphic memoir is my favorite genre of graphic novels, so there will be a lot of graphic memoirs, by the way, in this list. In This Corner of the World by Fumio Kouna, Japanese mangaka. There is 3 parts to this manga, and it's about a girl in Hiroshima in 1940s. So you kind of know the topic of it, you know what will happen, but I really want to read this. Many people talking very highly of this book. Good talk, a memory. Look, I have some troubles for saying memory and memoir. Memoir, right? Memoir. A Memoir in Conversations by Nura Jacob, Indian American. Little White Dog, A Childhood in China by Nalu, Chinese author. They Called Us Enemy by George Takei, Japanese American author, and also star of Star Trek. Stargazing by Jen Wang, a Taiwanese American illustrator and artist who is creator of The Prince and the Dressmaker, and I really loved her art. I had some questions to the story of The Prince and Dressmaker, but the art was really beautiful. Pashmina by Nidhi Chanani, Indian author, and it's about a girl of immigrants from India learning to connect with her culture. The Magic Fish by Trong Luen Nguyen, Vietnamese American author. Vietnam America, Family's Journey by G.B. Tran, also Vietnamese American author. I Was There, American Dream, a graphic memoir by Malaka Karib, Filipino Egyptian American. Measuring Up by Lily Lamotte and An Khu, about Taiwanese immigrant girl who is learning to cook. And by the way, in this whole subgenre of graphic novels, which are graphic novels about food, I have more recommendations for you, specifically for kind of a food novel, so however you call it. It's Cook Korean, a comic book with recipes by Robin Ha. Let's Make Ramen and Let's Make Dumplings, and also The Adventures of Fat Rice by Hugh Amano, who is co-authored all of these books, and he's an American chef and writer. Banned Book Club by Kim Yan-suk, Ko Hun-ju, and Ryan Estrada, which is about Korea. Forget Sorrow, an Ancestral Tale by Belle Young, a Taiwanese American. Almost American Girl, an illustrated memoir by Robin Ha, also Korean immigrant. By the way, Cook Korean is by Robin Ha as well, and this book, Almost American Girl, is hugely popular on Goodreads right now. I'm sure many people will read it, and I'm very happy about it, and I'm going to join these people, not in this Redathon, but in the future for sure. Waltz with Bashir, a Lebanon war story by Ari Folman and David Polonsky. And Frank's Diary, the graphic adaptation, by the way, by the same author, Ari Folman and David Polonsky. I didn't read this graphic adaptation, but when I was in Poland in the airport, when it was still normal to be in airport, I was going through a bookshop, and I was looking in this graphic novel while I was waiting for my flight, and I remember very good feelings about it, and how respectfully and how thoughtfully it was made. So I did not read it fully, but I can recommend it because the art was great, but also the respect was there. Now I understood that I forgot one last graphic novel which I did not read yet, but I wrote it down for myself because it sounds really interesting and promising, and it's by Turkish artists, which I did not read any graphic novels from Turkish artist yet. His name is Cem Ozduru, and the name of the book is Perihan, the Girl Without a Mouth. I don't know what is it. I don't know if it's fantasy, if it's sci-fi, if it's magical kind of, you know, weird thing, if it's horror, if it's a real story. I have no idea, but it sounds really really promising. So that was my list of recommendations. Some of the books I, you know, cannot wholeheartedly recommend because I did not read them yet, but maybe it gave you some ideas on how you can diversify your Asian readathon in terms of kind of book you read, you know, because talented creators are doing their work and doing their art in different forms, as well as form of graphic novel. And I think it's very, very good that we can share it with each other, and we can, you know, read in different forms and enjoy and appreciate and pay homage to different kind of writers. So I'm kissing you and I'm saying goodbye. Subscribe, like if you want, and please leave a comment if you're gonna participate in the Asian Readathon 2021. I know I'm kind of late because that's May already, but anyways, I hope you will get something interesting from this recommendation. And just please also remember that you can read these books without any readathon, you know. If you're watching this video after the readathon ends, you can do your own readathon like in your head, as I was doing my whole life. You can just do this not in the set time, not only in Asian Heritage Month, which is May, but just in any month. You can respect and admire these authors, you can buy their work, you can support them and promote them in any given time. So, living, and I'm kissing you.